The Fly film franchise is one of Hollywood's best cult properties, and there is a third installment that few know exists. In 1986, visionary director David Cronenberg unleashed his remake of The Fly, starring Jeff Goldblum. A massive hit, it led to a less than inspiring sequel, The Fly 2. While this movie may have killed the franchise's momentum, IDW nevertheless published a sequel, titled The Fly, Outbreak. The 5-issue miniseries, first published by IDW in 2015, was written by Brandon Seifert, with assistance by David J. Tipton, and was drawn by Mentun III. The series picks up several years after The Fly 2, and Martin Brundle, the son of Seth Brundle, Jeff Goldblum's character in the first movie, is attempting to permanently cure himself of his latent insect DNA, despite no incidents in a while. However, Martin's research leads to an outbreak, turning those exposed into violent, insect-like creatures. Now, Martin must race against time to find a cure, no matter the cost. David Cronenberg's The Fly is one of the best examples of the body horror genre ever put to film, thanks to its intense story and Academy Award-winning makeup job by Chris Wallace. Although Cronenberg intended for it to be an allegory for disease in general, many saw it as a metaphor for the AIDS crisis, which was in its early years. One of the highlights of Jeff Goldblum's career, the film also stars Geena Davis and John Getz. A remake of a 1950s creature feature, The Fly was a hit with both critics and fans. In addition to its commentary on diseases, The Fly is also a warning about scientific hubris gone too far. In the film, Seth Brundle designs a teleportation system, similar to Star Trek's transporters. Unlike those technological marvels, Brundle's transporter was deeply flawed. After several failed attempts, Brundle tried the system himself. As he was entering the transporter pod, a fly flew in, and was transported with him. The system failed to distinguish their DNA makeups, and merged them into one. What followed was one man's horrifying metamorphosis into something more than human. The success of The Fly led to a sequel 3 years later, which, while advancing the mythos, failed to connect with audiences. At the end of The Fly, fans learn that Brundle's lover, Veronica, was pregnant with his child. As the child was conceived after Brundle's transformation, the child was born with insect genes but a human appearance. The child, named Martin, fell under the sway of Anton Bartok, the financier of his father's teleportation experiments. Eventually, his latent insect DNA manifested itself, but he, unlike his father, was able to reverse his condition and become human again. The Fly 2's failure at the box office and with audiences put any talk of a third entry in the franchise on ice. The years have been kind to The Fly. It is now regarded as not only one of Goldblum's best, but one of Cronenberg's finest hours as well. The film continues to find new generations of fans, but its sequel does not enjoy such a reputation. Since The Fly 2 came and went in theaters, there have been talk of a new movie, but nothing has ever come of it. Yet, in 2015, IDW released The Fly, Outbreak, a direct continuation of the story established in the first 2 films. Martin Brundle returns, as does his lover Beth. The Fly, Outbreak picks up some of The Fly 2's plot threads. At the end of the movie, Martin used Anton Bartok's DNA to cure himself, but it turned Bartok into a monster. When Outbreak opens, Martin is now trying to cure Bartok, to no avail. Martin also lives in fear of transforming back into a monster, which puts distance between himself and Beth. The Fly, Outbreak features perfect callouts to Cronenberg's classic. The Fly, Outbreak continues the Brundle story on several levels. The Fly Outbreak 6. The Fly, Outbreak, in addition to using plot points from the first 2 films, also features thematic callbacks to the others. Seth, Martin's father, pursued his dream of a transporter system to extreme lengths, namely experimenting first on animals and then later on himself. In The Fly 2, Anton Bartok co-opted Brundle's research as well as his son, all to his own nefarious ends. Bartok's scheming causes trouble all around. He turns Martin into a monster. It backfires on Bartok, and he himself is now a mutant, and Martin's humanity is restored. The Fly films are a commentary on scientific hubris. The Fly film franchise makes good use of the mad scientist trope as well. This is nothing new in literature and pop culture, tracing its roots back to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. However, The Fly subverts this by making Seth Brundle a genuinely nice guy. In The Fly 2, Martin is following in his father's footsteps, but his transformation into a monster convinces him to change course. In Outbreak, Martin now seeks to cure himself of his curse permanently. At the same time, he is also trying to cure Bartok, showing he is not without mercy and empathy.